Alright, so now we're going to look at how to improve the quality of the actual image that you, or materials that are on this. Now, this belt, or the band, excuse me, for the watch is something that I spent, established here in the Maya file, and I had to make sure that I texture map it. It was actually, Maya does have, if you look underneath the materials, let me just show this real quickly. Get this in here. There we go. Let me go in and just create a new Phong, and I'm going to click on the color aspect of it, and if you look through this long list, you'll see leather is one of the choices there. Okay, so that's what I use first, is basically that as my starting point. Now, it does create this as a solid texture. Okay, so you got to go through the conversion process, which to make it actually surface UV mapping and all. That's called baking. And you pick the geometry, you pick the, let me just show that part real quick. So here's this one. So there's the original leather that I had. Where is it in this list? At least I say it. There it is. That's probably it. Yeah. So here's the original one. It's actually not assigned. This is converted. So let's see if I can show this real quickly. If I graph this one, okay. So this is a 3D texture icon. That's creating the ways place, and you can move it and scale it. It's kind of what we're used to doing in 3D programs. This is actually, let me graph this one. There we go. So this is the one that was converted, okay? And what this is simply, when you convert it, it takes and bakes into the geometry, the UV coordinates to it, and then sets up an image relative to that. So real quickly, that process, let me go back and assign this original one. Okay. And what you do is you pick it there. You come in here and you hold down the shift key and select the material there, and then you simply go to edit, convert file texture, Maya software, convert to a file texture. You open this up, and in here you want to make sure that the values, they should be even here, they're not, for the X and Y, I think they default to 256, which are pretty low. So I bumped it up to 1024 and made this a PNG image out of it as well. So this will actually convert it, create the UV texture maps on it, and then assign the new material. And I actually did this one for the upper leather band, I think here. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Assign that back to it. So I had to do one for the upper and the lower band that's there. Went through and converted each one of those. Okay, so make sure I got the texture mapping onto it. Alright, but let's get back to Unity and look at this real quick. So once again, as I mentioned, anytime I want to use anything that is embedded in here, you got to click on it and say you want to export it from the prefab. It'll ask you for a folder. I already created one called materials, and I'm just going to put it in there. So you're just basically choosing a folder. So there's my gold material that I already pulled out of the other one. Now, ends up, I didn't like what I pulled out. It wasn't, couldn't really adjust it much. So I'm going to show you real quickly how to make a material. Once again, you just right mouse click, say create material. I'm going to create this standard one for you. Let's give this one, now probably the biggest thing here is I want to make this look a little metallic, and the easiest way to do it is once you make the material. So let's call this gold practice or gold video. Okay, just drag and drop it where you want to apply it. Assigns it that way. Let's give this more of a gold color. There we go. Looking pretty good. And play around a little bit with the lighting, and then I'll crank up the metallic so it gives it a little bit more of a sheen to it. Now, lighting and all the rest definitely will play an important part of this. Let's cut this down. Yeah, it's actually kind of like that. There we go. I gave some more of that reflection of the environmental kind of gold appearance to it. Okay. So that's how I created that. There's also underneath here the glass material. Let me just once again drag and drop this out here. Now, if anything has like an image on this, so one of the reasons you may want to pull this out is swap the image assigned to it. So in this case, let me just throw something on different here. I'll go back to my resources just to show you this. So I'll grab this one called activity. So it takes a little bit of coordination. I'll select the actual 3D object through my hierarchy. Here's my cover. And I'll open up the material assigned to it. I'll grab the new image, drag, and just basically, this always gets stuck somewhere. There we go. Drop it right there on that little square. And you see that it reassigns it. So let me put it back to the original one. Here's my home screen. Drag and drop it. Now, once again, I put this in Maya so that it already has the UV texture set up properly in here. Okay, so you got to have that done in Maya first. But that's how you go through and kind of set up some of the materials. Now, let me show you a little bit of something that's different with regards to these other elements. So on my watch, the virtual interface that I created, let me pull this one up and just talk about it real quick here. I set these up with cutouts around it so it had the transparent background with it. Well, when those got pulled in, they kind of show with a grayish background. Okay, they're not looking too good. Let me see if I can go ahead and export one of these out real quick just to show you. File, selection, and I'll call this let's do it this way, video activity. It'll be easier to kind of see. So back in Unity, it's importing it. Right there's the element. Now we can bring these in as separate. Let me do that. Drag and drop it onto the image target. It needs to be scaled up as well. Now I found on these that if I do a little bit smaller, it's better for this. I think it's -90. Yep. And I think 180 as well. Nice, 180. Alright. And it can sit inside of this, but I'm going to pull it up a little bit. So you notice it didn't quite cut them out properly. Okay. So I had to go through and basically extract all these out because once again I can't do anything with them in here. So let me do this one, show you. I'll throw this into the materials folder. Well, I'll just throw it in right now. Okay, so we'll find it right there, and it ends up. And let me turn off the other ones just to kind of. That's this group. So if you need to turn something off, just you can select it in the hierarchy, click right there in the inspector, and it turns off. So this is only showing this one element. Because what I want to do is select this material, make sure it's assigned, and then go in here, and what I found on this one, it was this unlit transparent cutout that created the same effect. It gave me a nice flat looking image there, and then also the cutout around it. So that's what I found works on this. So that's what I'm saying. You can use any that are available here. They don't have to be just the standard shader or whatever. These are actually, some of them are more efficient because once again they're made for like mobile, so they're going to be just the pieces that you need for it and do all that. Okay, so that's how that was created. So that's how you once again try to improve the quality. You can add lights into the scene, do things with that as well to kind of help improve, get a higher reflection and stuff with it. It's kind of tricky sometimes simply because you're trying to see something in a real environment which has its own real lighting versus the object. So you probably want to keep it as balanced as possible unless you know you're going to put it to more extreme lighting. Alright, so the next video we're going to look at how to do the interactive part.